Skateboarding in New York City is different than any place else because New York City is different than any place else.
Here in New York, there's just a hunger for it, and it just makes for a unique style of skateboarding that's a little bit more just raw, rough, and awesome.
I feel like skateboarding is something like that we can use to express ourselves.
It really allows you to open up to who you truly want to be.
Skateboarding has evolved like few other sports, especially in New York City. Steve Rodriguez is a man heralded as the mayor of NYC skateboarding due to his impact and influence on the scene here.
The 80s was definitely an incubation period where skateboarding transformed from riding ramps and stuff to riding street. So right there, you're part of this creation of the culture. So not only are you following it, but you were allowed to, at that time, contribute to it. Cut to the 90s. The 90s was a completely different time where I feel like it did become part, in the boom of the 90s, it was like sort of the heyday, especially in New York City. It was such a great time because you were part of a culture that was leading the way things were going.
Born in New Jersey, Steve first picked up a skateboard in his basement aged 12. Since then, he has ruled the streets of downtown, idolized for his wild style and ability to skate everything from curbs to cars. In 1996, Steve set up his skateboard and apparel brand, Five Borough, with the aim of unifying the different styles of skateboarding in Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. Despite the huge success of his brand, Steve is best known for his work on over 20 skate park design projects across the city.
What's better than that? Building something and knowing it's going to be there for probably 20 years, and it's in New York City. That's something that kind of blows my mind, that if I look on Google Maps, and I look at the satellite view of all these skate parks in New York City, knowing that I designed them and that people are enjoying them, to me that's awesome. That's probably the highlight. That's probably the best highlight. Not one individual park, it's just that knowing people are enjoying something you designed.
Steve is not the only one in the Big Apple to have followed their passion into business. Former model Amy Gunther opened her store KCDC in 2004. Having turned to skateboarding as an escape during her adolescence, giving back to the community has always been Amy's top motivation.
People my age, skateboarding was very different. It meant a lot of different things, and it was definitely more of the rebellious kids, and all my friends listen to punk rock, and it was the outcasts, and it was something that really brought us together and really created a second family for me. It really offered a sense of kind of stability and security, and it was bad, New York City definitely wasn't a safe place at that time. But when you're with your friends and it's a group, you're a little bit more safe. Skateboarding saved my life. Literally.
Situated in the hip district of Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Amy's business is thriving, but the journey hasn't been easy.
It's just kind of riding the wave of everything in New York. For the retail aspect and having a brick and mortar store, going through the ups and downs of the recession, the popularity of Brooklyn, taking emotion out of it and being what can I do with where we are in the world now to continue to support skateboarding? What can I do? Continuing to stay relevant is a huge part of it, and being open to change and working with brands and just listening to our community. That's the biggest thing.
The The many skate parks in New York City welcome people from all walks of life. Pro skateboarders Leo Heinart and Luis Tolentino often ride together.
Skateboarding is like a brotherhood in New York too. Like from New York, if you go like other places, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm from New York, I skate. Instantly, you have homies. But it's vice versa too. Like they come to New York and they just like super cool. You're like, yo, you need a couch? You know what I mean? It's all like a brotherhood.
Skateboarding is amazing because if you're cocky or something, like you're just gonna get spit out, you know? Like nobody got time for it. You don't got time for all like being cocky or macho or whatever. It's more like everybody just wants to be together and feed off each other's vibe and everything like that. And if you see somebody who's growing in skateboarding, you don't want to hate on them, man. Like if you hating on somebody, like yo, you got a problem because it's such like it's an individual sport, but it's a community at the same time.
Luis's family moved to New York from the Dominican Republic when he was young, and they eventually settled in Queens. It was here where Luis became hooked on the sensation of flying with his skateboard. And in 2009, he set a world record for the highest ever ollie at 44.5 inches off the ground. With the financial crisis of 10 years ago, Luis's skateboarding career took a back seat whilst he worked multiple jobs. Having lost confidence over the years, he was delighted when an unexpected message landed in his inbox recently.
The way that the Dominican skateboarding team reached out to me was through direct message through Instagram, and I couldn't believe it. They were like, hey, we would like to speak to you because we're actually forming the Dominican skateboarding team for the Olympics, and we would like for you to be a part of the team. And when I read that, I felt like because at the time, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I was dying. I don't know, I felt like something was missing. And then finally, when they reached out to me, I felt like something like just spark inside me. And I was like, wow, I don't know, there's something about this, something deep about this. And then that's when I started kind of like coming back. I kind of got lost, but then when that happened, I kind of started coming back.
Luis is now training hard towards the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, where skateboarding will make its debut at the Games. Hoping to follow in his footsteps is the next generation of skateboarders. We caught up with some rising stars at the Hot Wheels Junior Skateboarding Series in Brooklyn.
I'm Jiro Platt and I'm 12 years old and I've been skating for about 6 years.
My name is Bombette Martin. I'm 12 years old and I am from Manhattan, New York.
Jiro and Bombette were just two of the gifted youngsters competing in the nationwide series for under 16s. Event organizer Rob Merinek was floored by the talent on show.
But we're at the point now where the people who were good like 20 years ago are now parents of skateboarders, and they're passing it along, and kids are just learning quicker and quicker and quicker because of better examples and better, the generation before learned quicker than they did, and then it's amazing to see the progression.
A familiar face was also on hand to provide support to the youngsters.
What he's done in the skateboard scene here and beyond is awesome. It was like, we're all just like a little starstruck when he comes by the event today. It's like, that's sick, dude.
Steve is a role model to many, not least of all to his 7-year-old son, Shiki.
I think he saw how much passion I had for it and then how much fun I had doing it. And then little by little, he saw that and then experienced it himself, for himself, by himself. So I would say not pushing it on him, was the key. And I am so happy that he's into it now. He's like my bro. He's like my best friend skating, like skating with my best friend. But it's my son. It's crazy. I wouldn't want him to be a pro skateboarder. I want him to just be a skateboarder and have it as like one of the things he does in his life. Because I think that being well-rounded and having multiple interests and multiple passions will help him to be a better person and a more successful person.
A lifelong passion is key to those who have maintained their commitment to skateboarding throughout its evolution. Enduring the ups and downs and fighting for their community has made Steve and Amy icons of the New York scene.
It's a whole other world now. Skateboarding is very accepted, and it's not the outcast, it's actually like the cool kids. And just watching kind of how the New York skateboarding community has changed over the years and where it's at now, it's like so many girls are skating, which is like a dream come true. I mean, it's really amazing. You know, we're the underdogs, so I'm gonna fight the fight as long as I can.
Maybe there'll come a day where people don't want me to represent skateboarding, you know what I mean? And that's fine, but as long as people are okay with that, then I'm okay with it if it helps get things done. You know, everything I said about skateboarding, how it, you know, you learn so much from it, for everything from perseverance to friendships to relationships, like all that stuff. You can take those experiences for the rest of your life because skateboarding is not going away, you know?